And we are back. You are chatting with John P. Today we have my business partner Federico. Federico Talks Watches. He's on YouTube as well as Instagram and all that stuff. Federico Talks Watches. How you doing?
Chilling, brother. How are you?
Excellent. Well, today we're going to be talking about, by request, what the life of a watch dealer or dealers is like day to day and the business. I think it's fair to say there's some very glamorous sides of it, but there's also some sides that you probably don't realize exist. But first, like and subscribe to me here, John B, Instagram, The Real John P, and Federico Talks Watches. And check out DelrayWatch.com. We have some pretty awesome new stock just posted. We've been working some long hours, which we'll talk about, to post this stuff. What do we have?
New in stock?
Yeah.
No date sub, 39 millimeter.
By the way, we have a little award here. Federico is Employee of the Month last month.
That's so funny. We had a really good March. I appreciate it. Dude, really?
Employee of the Month.
What can I say?
And that's really what it's like to be a watch dealer. You know, we can just do stuff like that and, expense it.
You actually had my name engraved on a trophy.
I use your credit card.
Is this a business expense?
We're technically in our office.
So it's not actually a gift. I actually paid for
this. Yeah, but you were Employee of the Month, It's one of those things. All right, so anyway, let's do the wristwatch check. What are you wearing? Because I know you got something new.
I just picked it up yesterday. New personal watch for my 30th birthday, which was coming up. The Girard Perregaux Laureato Moon Phase. I talked about this in my video.
Oh, you did?
And everybody's like, dude, where can I pick that up? I don't see the listing. It's because an hour after I released the video, I bought it myself.
That's some insider trading stuff that only watch dealer would do.
But I love it, man. It's like a Nautilus Royal Oak overseas.
Yeah, I love the GP. Great value. I got a 1970 Speedmaster on the wrist.
That beads of rice bracelet almost?
Yeah, one of these guys. It's a classic.
It's a nice watch.
So let's talk about it. Let's start out with the beginning of the day. We'll talk about kind of like what your day looks like, maybe a little bit what mine, and the mixture, and kind of what we do daily, and then the upsides and downsides, and let people know. Like, let them decide.
So do you want me to do chronological, like from wake up?
Yeah, just like kind of like what you do and.
All right. So listen, I wake up at 7 a.m. First thing I do when I open my eyes, so 7:03, I pick up the iPhone. I check how many emails I got for that day. Check the emails, then I'll probably call you around 8.
Yeah.
And we make the game plan. So normally I show up to the office around 9:30. The first thing, once again, is the emails. Answer all the emails. We get about 60 a day.
Probably at least. 60
a day. So I have to answer all of those. That takes a couple of hours, at least. Then I check eBay. I check the forums, see if any of my alerts went off, because I have alerts going for like watches I'm looking for. Then around 1 p.m., UPS shows up. They deliver all the watches we may have purchased.
Yep.
Got to unpack them, inspect them, give them to Hansi, write down serial numbers, decide what needs service. It's a really long process. Once all that's decided, we do photography. Once photography is done, while the pictures are being edited, I usually try and shoot a YouTube video. So this is around 3 p.m. right now.
And there's some... We've actually developed a team now, so there are some people in there.
Yeah. I mean, this is not things I do by myself, but stuff kind of I oversee.
Yeah, we oversee
on my side. So around 3 p.m. I try and shoot a video. Then I edit the video. By 5:30 I'm done, and I try and upload. Then I'm home by 6, but that doesn't stop because we still get phone calls and emails, and, I'll work until I go to sleep.
We're international.
Exactly.
30%.
And in between all of that, we have phone calls, Facebook messages, other dealers calling us, being like, hey guys, do you have this? Or I want to sell this. It's a very hectic day. I mean, it's not glamorous at all, but I can tell you one thing. From the moment I walk into the office to the moment I leave, it goes by like this. I mean, it's so much work, but it goes by like that.
That actually is very telling for the positives and negatives of the thing. So basically, I start the day around 7. I wake up and check all my emails as well. I get absolutely lost in the emails, but then what I'll do is we use a combination of automated systems that I've built that not only track deals but cross-reference it with leads and all that stuff. So I'll run some reports, and I'll also check to see if there's any deals that came in overnight or things that he's closed that I just didn't know about, just because I like to see where it's there, and I also like to track our progress over time.
Yeah, and also maybe we should explain, because, we're partners at Delray Watch, but we do different things. Yes. So we're both watch guys, but I deal mainly with the watch side of the business. I do pricing, I do the sales, I decide what to buy, with John's help, of course. Anything that's kind of watch related is usually my territory, whereas John does the business stuff.
Yeah, I'll get into the business. So I'll do all the reports, the charting, the forecast. Of course, I handle the majority of the in-house accounting. We have a professional accountant that handles a lot of the taxes and things like that. But I'll also manage all the regulations, make sure we stay out of prison,
pay sales tax on time.
Make sure we're doing everything according to the latest regulations, and also the scaling and the growth as well. We have a very interesting project we're working on that's not in the main purview of what you see on our website, that we're actually doing a bit of a cap raise for. So that's kind of interesting. And we also have a lot of automated systems that allows us to actually be able to handle all of these leads and calls.
Yeah, it's a lot of work.
And so that's primarily what I handle, but also I jump everywhere else. Obviously, I have the YouTube channel. I also oversee the Instagram and all of that.
And the vintage. I don't do vintage.
He hates vintage.
I don't hate it. It just scares me. Like,
I don't
know enough about
I'll pull
vintage.
out like a loop and be looking at something, and he'll be like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "Is this some kind of conspiracy theory?" I'll be like, "I think there's a redial." He'd be like, "There's no redial." I'm like, this is a redial.
Vintage is not my expertise.
So pretty much all of that types of things, and we also have a lot of partnerships and things that are tickled behind the scenes, and some other stuff it's boring stuff. Like most of the glamorous, like front end of the house type stuff has to do with the watches, and we usually let them run with that one.
That really is a small part of the business, because this is not a video to dissuade anybody from being a watch dealer, but let's be honest here. Watches are 20% of what I do every day. 80% is customer follow-up, emails, managing service, making sure, we're paying people on time,
reviews,
making sure we get paid
to reviews, going through the payment processors. For example, PayPal just made a huge change to the way that they handle processing, and now we have to change our internal processes. And if you're just trading one or two watches on the forums, these things for like smaller, we're pretty small, but for really small dealers, it would never be a thing. But considering like we're going pretty quickly and we push some serious watches.
Here's the thing. Guys, as far as watch dealers goes, I'm not deluding myself. We're still very small, but John, 2 years ago or a year and 10 months, whatever it's been, I never thought we'd be taking in and sending out as many watches as we do now. It's kind of shocking. I guess this is a thank you to you guys.
Absolutely.
Because it's all, your fault. the good way
You're making him come to work, making him earn that trophy.
The good way of saying it, but yeah, it's a lot of logistics to do this.
There's a lot that goes into it. And so, there's more in the day-to-day because everything's always changing. We meet with a lot of dealers. There's a lot of events. He likes to travel and go to a lot of these events, and we source watches from high-end collectors and private collectors and other types of specialty dealers in other countries. So he handles a lot of that as well. And so there's a lot of other things that kind of mesh in and makes every day-to-day a little bit different. We can't cover it all. But let's talk about maybe the things that we like the most about it and the things that maybe not so much. And it could be like a perk of the job or like maybe something that's just we have to go through that could maybe dissuade someone from becoming a dealer.
So, okay, I'm going to talk about my favorite thing and my two least favorite things.
Yeah.
My favorite thing has got to be the watches. I love watches. They come in, I try them on, I get my hands on them. I touch everything from Hamilton to Journe. And that is the best part of this job.
Wow.
The worst part of this job, for me, previously, was shipping. So logistics, getting things in, getting things out, creating shipping labels, insurance, all of that. Thankfully, we just hired somebody who handles all of that. So I no longer have to do it. But my new least favorite part is sourcing watch parts.
Watch parts.
Sometimes during a service, 99.5% of the time we can get parts.
Hans is very good. He can usually get everything.
Yeah, but there's very occasionally, and this will happen once a month, where something will come in where it needs like this one specific part, and everybody's sold out, and then I gotta spend 9.5 hours like looking through old watch catalogs, figuring out part numbers, and seeing if we could source it. That's the worst part of this job.
And Hans can usually make the part. It's just it might take him a day and a half, which unfortunately gets expensive for the customer.
Oh yeah, of course.
So it's not reasonable.
And another thing is, Hans could be looking for parts, but his time is more valuable actually fixing watches.
He gives speaking engagements to very large companies.
Yeah, actually, he's going to Mexico next week for a conference.
Very large.
Because another thing, Hans doesn't work for us. He works with us. He's a master watchmaker who essentially retired.
Yeah.
And then I met him, and, we started working together a little bit. So Hans still does a lot of things on the side of his own, speaking engagements. Some manufacturers still send him service,
high-end things here
but mainly he's retired / working with Delray Watch.
Yeah, so that explains that for those of you that have asked. But I would say probably my favorite thing is that, honestly, guys, as glamorous and as sophisticated this industry looks on the front end, you got these companies with these crazy websites and all these marketing dollars and the Instagrams and this and that. It's so backwards behind the scenes. There's no technology anywhere. It's to the point where just like two guys will just show up on the scene, put in all these automations, and boom, 18 months later, everyone else is just playing with sticks and rubbing sticks together to create a fire.
It's a backwards industry. There's very little innovation. Well, dude, it's the oldest job in the book. I mean, you're buying and selling.
That's what I love about it, is that there's so much room for innovation, and all of it is overlooked by the big guys because they got the whole too big to fail mentality. But that's another thing, and I would probably say the thing that I probably least enjoy is
Let me guess. Taxes?
It
Sales tax?
It probably would be sales tax. There's a lot of things going on with sales tax right now that have the biggest of retailers really trying to figure out what to do, and we've got a pretty good game plan, but unfortunately there's a lot of uncertainty.
Yeah, well, new Supreme Court ruling. We're still working on that.
Yeah, luckily, we're just Delray Watch. Like, I don't think the Supreme Court's going to knock on our door.
We're too small to matter. Well, hopefully not forever, but we still got to obey the law.
We still follow all the rules, and that's something that I think we should convey to the guys, because a lot of guys have reached out and they've asked, like, hey, I want to be a watch dealer. What should I do? What do you recommend? And I think that it's fair advice for us to say there's a lot that goes into this industry, more than just the glitz and the glamour, because we post on Instagram, we show these things, these cars or watches, whatever, and a lot of other people are a lot more guilty of it than we are, but there's so much behind the curtain, and there's a lot of work that goes into each deal that I think is often overlooked.
Oh yeah, and let's be honest, only 20% of my work actually deals with watches. 80% is emails. A lot of math, making sure the numbers work out, to put the deals in and out. Phone calls, photography. Very little of it is actually me playing with watches. Now, if anybody actually wants to pay me to play with watches, that is the dream job.
Yeah, there's a lot of, greasing the cogs in the wheel of the machine, so to speak. But, out of every, how many total communications do we get per day?
Oh, let's say 50 emails, 20 phone calls.
Okay, so let's say on average 70 people reach out to us per day. How many of those actually turn into into some type of buy or sell deal?
2.5?
Yeah, so 2.5 out of 70. So you guys do the math. I mean, when you consider that, we do love talking to you. It's fun. I pick up the phone. We all pick up the phone. We're all on a team here, and it's something to consider if you're trying to get your feet wet in the industry. I don't want to say don't do it, because if you love it, do whatever you love. That's fine. Totally would say that, but consider that is something.
Consider that it's a lot of work. And once again, this is not to be dissuasive, but once again, it's a lot of work.
It's fun though. It's really fun.
Sales don't just happen.
Let's take them home with telling them it's fun though, because it is fun.
No, listen, best job I've ever had in my life. Best job I've ever had in my life. Happiest I've ever been. I'm not complaining at all. But, you can't always show the good without talking about the bad.
All right, guys. So hopefully we provided some interesting insight into the lives of watch dealers, or at least the watch dealers here at DelrayWatch.com. Leave in the comments below other questions that you have about it. I'll be sure to respond when I can. Obviously, you've seen we're pretty busy, but I do like talking with you all. So like and subscribe, and I'll keep answering these questions for you. And let us know what you think about him winning Employee of the Month.
Thank you.
Anything else that you have to say?
No, I think we pretty much wrapped it up, man.
Excellent. Well, thanks for watching, guys. You have been chatting with John P. Ciao.
Take care.